So I was approached to feature on Rich House, Poor House, Rich Holiday, Poor Holiday. And I was debating it and debating it and debating it and debating it because it was like, what is the upside of doing this? I've had a friend or a few friends now go on both those shows. Some not friends, some associates, but some friends. And I reached out to them and I reached out to my other friends. I'm like, hey, your pal went on this show. Do you think it'd be good for me? Blah, blah, blah. And I was debating it and I mentioned it to my mentees and so on and so forth. And it was like, they reached out to me, first of all, for Rich House, Poor House. Pitched it to Mrs. C. She was like, listen, rude boy. What, someone's going to sleep in our bed? I'm like, you stay in hotels all the time. You know how dirty some of those hotels are. What? Like, yeah, it's just a week or whatever. Because we know how filming is going to be and production. Do you really want this? And I'm like, look, this is like, a couple of million free eyeballs, for our products, our services, but also some people that just say, oh, is it real? Like, do they really live in that house? Like, we should just do something like maybe as a credibility piece, additional credibility, because what's next? What's next? With Forbes featured, blah, blah, blah. What's next? So I'm like, maybe, UK TV show. And in the end, it was like, I just didn't think it would work because I know how I am as an individual and I know how the missus is. And I'm like, we can deal with an unclean house, right? But I think the other challenge to that is, it's not the cleanliness. Do you know what? Maybe it is the cleanliness. Maybe it is the cleanliness. Maybe I can, I don't know. I still think about it now. Like, is it the right thing to do? Did we do the right thing? Now, I think that one was cool. We did the right thing. We shouldn't have done Rich House, Poor House for so many different reasons. And as well, you don't know how the editing is going to come out because they may promote you in a certain way and so on and so forth. So I think the Rich House, Poor House was definitely the right shout. And then I was like, because we're back and forth in the UAE, we're not sure. And then as well, it could backfire because they're like, oh, posh people. Ultimately, is it going to help you in business? That was how we looked at it. This is a commercial. I don't care about being famous. I don't care. It's like, is this going to help us attract more clients, blah, 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 blah. Help them make a buying decision, essentially. And I was like, maybe. There's not enough. You've got to make your own noise post-event was kind of the theme that people have shared with us. Then the producers then reached out and said, okay, Rich Holiday, Poor Holiday. So I was like, happy medium. No one's got to stay in our house, blah, blah, blah. But you had to commit, I think it was like 2 weeks. And no, I don't think it was that. It was less than that. And I was like, this could work. And then they pitched the show. I got B on a Zoom call, blah, blah. We did an audition. They loved it. They were like, yalla, we want you guys on. And I was like, well, B was like, do you want to do this? Because, you're bougie as well, what's going to happen? And I was like, okay, cool. Let me reach out to a couple of people that I know that have been on the show or friends of friends that have been on the show. And I was like, could we make this work commercially for us? And everyone was like, ultimately, everyone said for that show, do it. Because, you create your own narrative, you create your own story, and it's a great and fantastic experience. People get to know who you are. And that's why another reason why I'm doing YouTube is like, sometimes you don't really, from those 60-second clips, you don't really get to see the genius. You don't really get to see how I am as an individual and how I communicate and my thought process and blah, blah, blah. Listen, if you do not have a copy of our books, at least one, if not 2, then 3 and 4, we talk about business, we're talking about mindset, we're talking about finance, we're talking about manifestation. Link below, check them out, choose the one that's right for you, or get all 4. So I'm like, maybe there's an opportunity for us both to be on, to do this, but also for Bianca to be back on television. She's a natural. She's got that natural TV flair, that natural TV glare and personality. And it's actually a crime that she's not doing more TV. I guess we need to find an agent. Yeah. So in the end, we were like looking at our schedule, and they had a very specific schedule, and it was like, we can't do this timeline, and we don't really want to move things for this timeline. And obviously we were, which is now clear, making our plans to move to Dubai. And it was like, this ain't gonna quite work. So we said to ourselves, you know what? It's not the right time. There's gonna be other opportunities. Yes, they got a couple of million eyeballs, and also they're Netflix now and all these type of things, right? But we said it's just not the right time. And we're not like fame hungry. We also want positioning. We also want authority. We also want consumers that will buy your product, etc. So it was like, it wasn't clear. Maybe one day we'll have to get, many people who have been on the show before on our podcast, not on my channel, but on the podcast, interview them and see what it did for them, like tangibly. When I had a conversation with a couple of people and they were like, yeah, like it wasn't clear cut. But also the opportunities ain't as direct, because like when we feature in magazines, newspapers, articles, you think, oh my God, I've made it. I'm featured in this magazine. Like it doesn't move the needle as much as you might think it would. So ultimately the timing wasn't right and we decided not to do it. So that was my experience with Rich House, Poor House, Rich Holiday, Poor Holiday. Do you think we made the right decision? And what would you do? Let me know in the comments below. Like, comment, and please, my people, if you're watching this till the end, subscribe. In fact, I'm gonna just sit here right now while you do it. All right, come on, man, please, yeah? All right, appreciate you. I'm gonna keep this content rolling. That's the story, that's the real life. That's just how it is. And I just wanted to give you that unfiltered. Until next time.